up, you idiot.
Hi, I'm Tommy, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho.
I'm your friend to the end.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
That one's a classic.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey, wanna play?
Wanna play? Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Hey, wanna play?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
I like to be hugged.
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 I can't believe he's talking already.
I like to be hugged. 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 I like to be hugged.
Hug
I like
this.
To be hugged. I like to be hugged. I like to be hugged. I like.
Life is short.
This little guy has a face only a mother could love.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I wouldn't talk if I were you. Heidi-ho.
I thought you guys only said 3 sentences.
I'm new and improved.
Most of this must be from the TV show that I haven't watched yet because I don't remember him saying it that many times in the movies.
It may have been. Yeah, I think it was from their yeah. So it was the shortest compilation I could find.
Right.
Everything else was like 10 minutes long.
You're pulling a page from my book where it's like when I pull stuff for our streams on tournament fights and whatnot, I have to click that filter of like the under 4 minutes thing to try to find something relatively short, and it's tough because I'm not an editor, so I just have to find somebody else's thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but as you guys could tell, we are talking about the Child's Play franchise here on the podcast about movies today. Supposed to do this last week, but or the week before. We were supposed to do it at some point, but we're doing it now. We're here. I'm here. Pez is here. Pez, how's it going?
Oh no, it's going good. Yeah, no worries. Things happen with us, obviously, and this feels like a nice little wrap up to the Halloween season as we do. So, and me, I could talk horror 365 days a year. Right. So whatever day it is when we're talking horror, doesn't matter to me at all. So yeah, we're talking about a franchise tonight that I wouldn't put it up there in like my top 3 franchises or anything like that, but it's a franchise that I think is. It has endured almost as long as some of these other ones and has kind of evolved and taken many kind of twists and turns and continuity and soft reboots and all kinds of stuff that we'll talk about. But it's an interesting one.
Yeah, and just for clarification, we're talking the franchise from Child's Play to Cult of Chucky. We're not including the
TV show,
the TV show, or the remake that came out.
The Mark Hamill one, yeah.
Just only Brad Dourif.
Yes.
This is an interesting franchise. I think it starts well and ends well.
You think there's some rocky in the middle?
In the middle, it's as we'll get into.
It's definitely like an up and down, but even the ones like. We'll talk about it, but I think even some of the lesser entries have their moments and whatnot. Like I think there's some, it's always interesting to see. I don't think any one of these is really the same. Like it's definitely a very different one from like movie to movie, as we'll talk about. Like it's not like this Friday the 13th sequel is kind of like this other Friday the 13th sequel or whatever. I think they're all got a little something interesting going on at least. Right.
And I also appreciate, just before we get into breaking down movie by movie, I do appreciate like the continuity that they keep throughout the series, because like it would have been very easy after Child's Play 3 to just go into something completely different, just with the character, which I thought they were, but then like you can kind of tell like it all wraps up kind of
Yeah.
in the final movie, and I do appreciate that.
We'll talk about where they go with Curse and Cult, because they start kind of a weird new continuity with those movies that kind of keeps with TV show, from what I've heard. Again, I haven't.
That's what I've
watched
heard
the
too.
TV
So now I
show.
have to watch the TV show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not. I will get to it eventually, because I do like Brad Dourif, and I like the fact that they've kind of worked in a lot of the past cast members and things like that. It's kind of like Cobra Kai in that way. There's a lot of shows like that, trying to keep that going. But yeah, they've, like I said, there's been a couple little soft reboot sort of things here and there, throughout the series. But I still think there's a somewhat general continuity.
Yeah. And so, of course, this we kick off in 1988 with the original Child's Play, and this was a first time watch for me all the way through. Watched Bride of Chucky for a show we did a few months back.
And I told you, I was like, what a way to get introduced to this series, of the one that's kind of like post-Scream, sort of half meta, you know what I mean? Like kind of a self-aware movie. And that was an interesting one to start with. But I don't think necessarily a bad place to start. Like if you're going to jump in, like it's because it's kind of a greatest hits. Like you get a little bit of the history thrown in there. But we'll get to Bride again. We'll touch on Bride a little bit when we get there. We already kind of talked about it a lot. We'll retouch on maybe in context of the series. Now you could talk about Bride.
Yeah.
But yeah, 88's Child's Play. Yeah, it's Tom Holland, not Spider-Man Tom Holland, but a different Tom Holland, who directed this one, and is kind of one of the brainchilds of him and Don Mancini. And I still think, well, it's not one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and again, not even my favorite of the series. I still think it works as a pretty good horror movie in general. Again, I think it moves pretty quickly. You have characters that are not stupid, characters that figure things out pretty quickly, like relatively speaking throughout the movie. They're about 45 minutes to an hour. Most of your main characters kind of know what's going on and are, doing what they can to fight it. But again, kind of a classic, we all know the premise of Charles Lee Ray putting his voodoo spell on himself and putting himself into a doll, to stay alive after he gets shot by the cops and whatnot. But this is one that I'll be interested to hear more of your thoughts overall on a lot of these movies, because I've seen these movies a bunch of times. So, but I know you see you're coming to it. Like, what did you know about this coming in, or like what were you familiar with beyond that of like it's a killer inside of a doll? Anything at all, or is that it?
That's basically it. I didn't really know much about like the later sequels, like Bride and on. But I did kind of know, he puts his soul inside of a doll, and the doll kind of follows Andy throughout these first three movies, and that's basically all I knew.
Okay.
So like I didn't know like why Charles Lee Ray was this, criminal that he is. I didn't know anything about like the backstory of any of these characters. I completely forgot that the mom from Seventh Heaven was the mom here.
Who I think is better known as the mom from Seventh Heaven than this movie. But I think anybody who later watched Seventh Heaven, if you're a horror fan, you're like, hey, it's the mom from Child's Play. Right. It's the mom who has the famous scene where she's like, talk or I'll throw you in the fire. Like that's in one of my favorite scenes in the movie, by the way. That scene is awesome. That scene's so great. I like that too, yeah. That scene's so great. But we'll talk about it. But Catherine Hicks, and then a guy who was kind of a pseudo king of horror for a while, at least a guy who showed up in a lot of horror movies, with Chris Sarandon, because he's in this movie, as the cop, and then he's in Fright Night. He's the vampire in Fright Night. He's the speaking voice of Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Not the singing voice, but he's the speaking voice of Jack Skellington. So like he's had a lot of horror projects under his belt, and this is kind of the one that's mixed in there. And then Alex Vincent, who I've met at a horror convention, and he's a pretty cool. I'm glad they've been able to fold him back into the series, now that he's grown up, as you see a little bit in the later movies. But a cool little premise. And what can we say about Brad Dourif? He's a good actor, man. I like Brad Dourif a lot. He's always doing something interesting, whether it's live action or just a voice performance. He's got that unique voice, and
I can't imagine someone else doing the voice.
I just can't. Yeah, that's why it was weird when Mark Hamill did it, and Mark Hamill's a great voice actor. Like, don't get me wrong, he's done some amazing voice performances.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's just weird seeing Chucky without, like, they did this new series, and it's like we have to have Brad Dourif. Like, you can't do it without him. It would just be too weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought this was a good way to kick off the series. I thought, Alex Vincent, what was he, 6 or 7 years old at the time?
Something like that. Yeah,
gave a decent child performance. I mean, you can only get so much out of a 6 or 7 year old. So,
yeah.
But yeah, like the other guy you mentioned, the guy that plays the cop, I thought he was great.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was like kind of I don't want to say slow because the movie's only like 90 minutes, but they didn't like rush into Chucky, revealing that he can talk and murder. Like, it was kind of this slow burn, get into it. And I appreciate that. Like, really, like, all right, when's it gonna
But again,
happen?
not too long, because,
too
like
long.
I said, the scene where she threatens to throw him in the fire, my favorite scene, and then he just goes, "You bet, you bet, you bet," whatever. That's like 45 minutes into the movie. It's really not.
But I'm like, in comparison
Yeah.
to the runtime,
Sure.
like, we don't like jump into it immediately, which I
Right.
appreciate. Like, we spend some time with the family.
Sure.
Like, we like, when the murders start happening, we know who it is, but we don't see it. And I appreciate the writing. I think Chucky's got throughout the entire series. I think just got some great one-liners. I think Don Mancini created a really cool character here, and for the most part wrote him really well throughout the series. There's a couple movies where I'm like, come on.
Well, and it's interesting. Some of the effects hold up better than others. I think there are still some cool scenes with the actual animatronic, like walking around, like, especially after he gets kind of burned up a little bit, and it's like kind of the burned up Chucky, like walking down the hallway. Like, there's some good shots of that, but there's also some of those obvious shots where it was like a little person in a good guy outfit, like crawling around, like really fast, and that one doesn't look. Some of those shots don't look as good, behind the couch and around the corners and whatnot. But there's still some decent, like, animatronic effects that I appreciate. Again, in the movie, and I think they work pretty well.
Yeah, it was cool seeing some of the behind the scenes and just like how much time and care went into the actual doll and like that that was cool. But it's like I thought this was a really good introduction to the character. I thought good child performance, and some decent kills. I think as I think it's true of most horror franchises, as it gets we go deeper into the franchise, the kills get more gory and more.
Yeah, this one actually doesn't have that much of a body count when you think about it. Like, for what it is, it's like the babysitter chick or whatever, that gets thrown out the window. And then there's the voodoo guy that I always forget about that scene where he goes and visits the voodoo guy and like kills him with his voodoo, and kills him with that. And then there's really not much else. People get injured, but there really isn't, like, he's not going out on a rampage, like killing random people. Like, there really isn't. I think the body count's only like 2, unless I'm missing one or forgetting one. It's really not that much, as far as I can remember. I'm sure usually it's in the trivia if I can find it, like the kill count or whatever the body count. But yeah, I don't think it's that much for this movie. They definitely amp it up in the sequels for sure.
Yeah. And again, a really, really good way to kick off the franchise. Decent performances, decent child performance. And I think he gets better in Child's Play 2, which would come out a couple of years later in what I believe to be just the greatest year in history. The year of 1990, for no specific reason at all.
It did produce my second favorite movie of all time. Tremors was a 1990 production. So, so it did produce a really great film in 1990. I'll say that.
No, Child's Play 2, we see Andy in the foster system. And he gets paired up with this family after, I think Chucky kills as many people in the opening scene as he did in the entire
Most of
first
the movie.
movie.
Right.
So, Chucky is back to life, and we see Andy with this foster family who has an older teenage girl living with them already. I think she's 17, about to be 18, or something like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they develop. I like their relationship that they developed throughout the movie. And then he's kind of dealing with some like the PTSD like symptoms. Every time he sees the doll, and the doll's kind of stalking him. Now he finds out where he lives, and
it's the classic setup of the outside people don't believe what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and it was all a delusion in your head or whatever, and so you're just gonna get some some therapy, and we're gonna convince you that it didn't actually happen. There wasn't actually a doll talking to you, that somebody went crazy, or it was a whole different thing. And that's kind of a classic setup of all the, and it allows for the trope of like the sort of foster dad or stepdad that is a little rough, a little too hard on the kid, but he obviously pays the price later with the fall down the stairs and all that, the kill in the basement. That's kind of an old classic thing. But I like like you said, the girl who plays, I think her name's Joanne or something. Yeah, like the teenager who's kind of with them. Like I like their back and forth. They kind of form a little bond. Like not that she fully like believes him, but she also doesn't not believe him. It's like one of those things where she's I
know you're not doing it, but I don't think the doll's doing it.
She believes something happened, but she's not saying nothing happened. And then when she wises up, like she's all in, and she's a pretty tough chick. Like I think she's one of the better sort of horror protagonists of the series. And I think the reason most people come back to this movie, and you'd probably agree, is the final 20 minutes is awesome. The final 20 minutes of this movie is so good. And what we're talking about is like there's a finale in the Good Guy toy factory, and it's like them right. Not only is it just a cool set design with all the conveyor belts going everywhere, and you got the yellow and green and red, colors and everything. It kind of looks like a funhouse sort of a thing. But yeah, all the different machines and the way they interact with that, they're going in and out of the machines. They're going up and down the conveyor belts. They're, all the boxes of stuff everywhere. And what's great about it is every time you think it's over, it's not over, and it keeps going, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is one where if the runtime was like 10 minutes longer, just because they extended that, I'm okay with it, because that stuff was great. And we ramp up the kills here. And I think the kills, despite how I feel about the movie itself, like going forward, I think the kills are always really decent, at least. We just ramp them up. Again, great dynamic between Andy and what's her name again?
Joanne or something. Joanne, like that. Yeah. I had to look it up myself. I didn't know off the top of my head, but or is it Joanne or Kyle? I can't. Kyle? It might be Kyle.
Oh, it might be Kyle.
Yeah, I'm looking at because the
Kyle.
Joanne's like the second bell person. Kyle sounds more.
That sounds
in line. Sorry, I don't know this franchise as well as other franchises on the top of my head. But whatever. The teenage chick. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, and then great set design, like you mentioned. So, I think we start off with two pretty solid movies, a solid movie and a sequel. And if this is where the franchise, if they just did these two, fine, cool.
Yeah.
But we did get a Child's Play 3, which happened
very, very quickly. Yeah, a year after, which is not. It's not, Jacob, like unusual for the horror franchise, given the fact that we used to get Friday the 13th movies every year and like Nightmare on Elm Street movies like every year. For a while, we were getting Saw movies every single year. Like they can crank them out, like especially on these slow budgets. But this one does, like the other one, at least have the 2 years in between. This one does feel rushed when you watch it and like kind of thrown together a little.
And it's such a big time jump too.
Yeah, it's unusual. We go from like 7-year-old Andy to all of a sudden he's like 14 or 15 or something,
Something
I
like
guess.
that, yeah.
You know, he's in like a high school-ish military academy. I mean, we take like a 7-year time jump or something. It has to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be. And I do appreciate like the change of setting and them doing something like you said, they've done something new like every movie,
Yeah.
which I can appreciate, but I just I like I wanted more like backstory. Like if it's been like 7 or 8 years, like
What's he been doing?
what's he been doing? Has he still been battling Chucky? Has Chucky left him alone for these 8 years, which would seem really weird?
Yeah.
Like what's been going on? But it's just like we just jump into it, and he's here, and he befriends this other kid, Tyler, who steals
Which,
the
by the way,
package.
I freaking killed myself. I missed that on a trivia question recently, which killed me. Because I knew it. I was like, and I just had a brain melt on a late night. I knew it was freaking Tyler because I've seen this movie's come out a lot. Actually, out of the 3 movies, these first 3, this one came on cable the most. So this might be the one I've actually seen the most times overall, just in total, because this one came on TV. I don't know why this one in particular just came on TV all the damn time. Because this one used to come on Sci-Fi constantly, and maybe it was the military setting, or maybe it was just wanted to play. I don't know, for whatever reason. Sometimes you get those weird movies that they're cheaper to license. I don't know, but yeah, it's I don't know.
Less language.
Yeah, I guess, and you know, there's not a lot of like gore in this one either. You know, it's pretty tame for the most part, other than 1 or 2 sequences. Yeah, I don't mind the setting of like the military thing. I think that's fine because it allows for, you know, again, a little bit of a change of pace. I know Justin Whalen, the kid who they recast as Andy here. At the time, he was also on, or a few years later, he would be on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. That Dean Cain Superman show that came out in the 90s. Yeah. He played Jimmy Olsen in that show. So he was kind of around a lot in the early 90s. So that's where I knew him from. And then when I would watch back this movie. But yeah, like, I mean, it has a few decent setups where you have, you know, Chucky switching out real bullets for the paint bullets, you know, and the guns, you know, for the capture the flag type stuff. And you know, you do have, I do like the grenade kill where he actually throws like the live grenade and the kid with the glasses kind of hops on it, you know, Captain America style.
Yeah.
It's blown up, you know, which sucks. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of good things. I always like a good carnival setting for like a finale. I mean,
I do dig the finale. I think everything leading up, I was like, okay, cool.
Waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. But like the carnival's cool and there's like a roller coaster going on and like they're kind of hopping in around this roller coaster setting and this carnival setting, like in and out of the place, and you got kind of a hostage situation with him and like Tyler and whatnot. And then, you know, I actually think the final sort of kill of Chucky in this one, it's not as good as Child's Play 2, because Child's Play 2 has like multiple like Chucky kills with the like you said, the how it keeps going, because it's like he gets mangled in a machine and then he gets covered in the hot wax stuff or whatever, you know, but he keeps going and then he gets blown up with the air, you know, like it keeps amping up. Like that's the best one of the series as far as like I think so too. It just keeps amping up. But this one, him getting chopped up in like the big fan blade is pretty cool too. Like it's not bad. So yeah, I mean, it has its moments. I just think the first half is kind of meandering, kind of getting going, and it's like him Chucky just wandering around, like killing a few random people, like the barber, like that was unnecessary. You know, it's like, oh, he's this asshole barber, we got to take 10 minutes to kill him. Like, why? Like, just get rid of him quick. Like, we don't need all this. Yeah, it just, you know, the stuff with Tyler.
Garbage truck kill was pretty cool.
Garbage truck was all right, because that's like a fear of mine of like getting stuck in like a place like that, getting crushed. There was sequences in the movie The Getaway that I watched with Steve McQueen where they get stuck in the back of a trash truck, and it gave me anxiety. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that at all. But yeah, the stuff with Tyler, it's like Tyler's kind of, his only gimmick is like he keeps calling him Charles instead of Chucky, and just, you know, it's a weird thing. You know, that's a trivia question though, guaranteed at some point. What's the name of the game they play? Hide the Soul. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like I've seen way worse horror movies than this. It's just, yeah, like you said, it's like hi, and then we got to take a little dip for a little while before we kind of you know, build it up again.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the one where I was like, I watched it, And a cool finale. That was cool. Yeah, the carnival setting is really cool. I like the finale, and then all right, that's pretty much all I care
But
about.
like Child's Play 2 is a
finale.
good movie with an awesome finale, you know,
Yeah.
like it that gets better and better and then has a great finale. Like Child's Play 3 is like, but okay, like this is pretty good. Yeah, and then they kind of again, yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do think it's a cool, little three-part storyline here.
Sure.
I just kind of wish at the beginning of this movie we may have gotten a little bit of more of a backstory into like, hey, what's Chucky been doing? Like, if they just been apart this whole time, like it just kind of seemed weird, and like they just wanted to accelerate the storyline into Andy being older. Cool finale. So you got that going for you. Child's Play 3. And then we can briefly touch on this one again.
Sure. Well, at least in context, now that you have a little bit of context behind some of the stuff, you know, in here, and even his look in the movie, because his look directly relates to Child's Play 3, at least him getting like chopped up at the fan and her sewing him back up for this movie. Like the sewn, I like the sewn up look of Chucky a lot. Like
I do too. Yeah,
the stitches and the half of the hair, and like I like that look of him. Like it's pretty cool. Like he's been through some shit, you know. Like I like the look of that.
Yeah, and it's like I think I said this the first time. I do appreciate the humor here, where we kind of make a shift in tone to where I think the first three were, just straight up horror movies with maybe a little bit of humor mixed in here and there. I mean, Chucky's always had the one-liners. I think that's, his thing. But this one, I think it leans into the comedy, while still maintaining that level of horror. Where I think again they're ramping up the kills. I think some of them in here are really good.
Yeah.
I think what was it, the hotel room one, I think is
like
really
with
good.
them getting chopped up by all the glass and everything, and that's fun. John Ritter like getting nails in the face is fun. And then getting stabbed later, like still being alive, like all that's fun. I mean, even the simplicity of Alexis Arquette, like in the trailer when she like ties him up, and they're kind of doing the back and forth, and she sets Chucky on top of him, but then he comes alive, and it's like it's a simple kill, but how he just sits on the pillow on top of his face, and like they're just having this conversation while he's struggling to breathe, and like
right
around. Like it's a simple kill, but like I kind of like the simplicity of that, with them kind of catching up while he's dying in the background. Like I like that.
Yeah, that is cool. Like sometimes you don't have to go over the top and
like that's fun. Like because you can just see him struggling, like while they're just being like, "Hey, babe, been a long time," that sort of thing. Like it's fun. I dig. And again, like we said, this is '98. This is post Scream, so they had to kind of acknowledge the past. You get a little bit of like basically them acknowledging kind of some of the silly premises. She's reading a Voodoo for Dummies book, trying to do the ritual.
I will say Jennifer Tilly is great.
She's gorgeous too, by the way. Holy crap, do I have a thing for Jennifer Tilly? I've had a thing for Jennifer Tilly for a long time. She looks amazing in this movie. But yeah, I mean, you obviously have the little nods where she's watching, Bride of Frankenstein, which is not coincidental, of course. And I mean, there's some good stuff here. And you get a young Katherine Heigl. Like I said, everybody starts out in horror movies, so that's chalking over up to that. Check that box. But yeah, I mean, Chucky's very self-aware and acknowledging kind of how silly it is that he's a guy in a doll inside of a doll because of voodoo, and that they have to get this MacGuffin of this, the thing, whatever, the necklace thing or whatever, to do a thing. But you had a nice little fun little tease at the end with like the her being pregnant, like, having doll sex and getting pregnant because of voodoo reasons. It's silly, but like, at the same time, it's like, why not? Because we're just being goofy at this point, and him being like, go ahead and kill me, I'll come back, I always come back. It's true, and you might as well say stuff like that and have that self-awareness, which is why I think overall, like I have said it before, this is kind of my favorite one, just as one I rewatch a lot, just because I like the tone of it, I like how breezy it is. It's Ronnie Yu who directed it, who went on to do Freddy vs. Jason, which is a movie that's very self-aware and fun too. And they have kind of a very similar look to them too. If you watch these back to back, Bride of Chucky and Freddy vs. Jason, they look very, very similar as well, like filmmaking wise. But he brings a fun a fun energy to the movie that I really, really like.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. I don't know that it's, having now watched all of them, I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite of the franchise, but I do. I think it's the most entertaining.
That's my thing. I think I think Child's Play 2 might be the best one filmmaking wise, like maybe. But like Bride of Chucky again is the most rewatchable for me that I can just put on and like watch all the time.
Yeah, and now that I've watched the franchise, I can just put it on and not have to.
Right. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, who is who? But I mean, it is the first one that introduces Jennifer Tilly. Now, she's not in the first three. She's just kind of a new character they introduced, but who obviously would stick around for a lot of this franchise in more ways than one. But she would become a pretty central figure for sure, but for good reason. I like her.
Yeah, and
now we come to my low point of the series. I don't like this movie. This is the one of the series I flat out dislike, and I don't like. To where I wouldn't say this is like I don't know if any franchise is perfect, but like this franchise would be pretty damn good without this series. Like
without this one,
I would watch all of them. Like no problem. Yeah. It's like the Friday the 13th movies. Like there's kind of bad ones, but even the sort of bad ones I can watch and like have a good time with. Like this one. I give it a shot like every 2 or 3 years just to see if my tastes have changed. But like, I just think this is the dirt worst. And I still remember when I saw this in the theater. This is my first Chucky movie in the theater. So you can imagine my disappointment when I was like watching all these movies on cable. And then one finally came out in theaters and I went to see it and I was like, wow, that was like really bad. I don't like that at all. I don't like the tone of it. I don't like how goofy it is. I don't think the humor works. I don't think the storyline is good. Like the storyline is bad with like shithead or whatever you want to call him. Glenn or Glenda kid. Because
and the look of the puppet, like you have these other
ugly.
two.
Yeah, it's weird.
You have Chucky and what's her name? Tiffany, who look great. They're great puppets. I mean, and then you have Glenn, who looks like maybe a child designed it.
Yeah.
And it's just not good, and I'm like, and it's 2004. Like you've got all this new technology that you should be able to use, and you've got people that have designed Chucky and Tiffany, and it's like, this is what you came up with.
Yeah, and you have bad jokes that like were of the time that just age poorly. It's like, oh, we're gonna do a Britney Spears like joke, like. Yeah. He runs her off the road and says, "Oops, I did it again." Like, what are we doing? like, don't do. Word of advice for anybody making movies: don't make like jokes of the moment because they're gonna age badly. Like in 20 years, and it's gonna really date your film. Like, I think the other ones, you can make a movie that is a little dated as far as like clothing and setting and whatnot, but like as long as you don't make jokes like that reference something in the news or some celebrity thing, like you can get away with it and it'll still feel just like a good movie, and this one, it's like that, it's bad. It's like we have Redman in this movie for no reason playing a director. Like, what are we doing? Like playing himself. Jennifer Tilly's playing herself and Tiffany, which is weird, which I still don't agree with. It's odd. I don't understand
you
that.
You could have brought any other actress in to play the actress, but you chose Jennifer Tilly, who's already voicing, and then I think they reference it too in one of the later movies. Has anyone ever told you look just like
Jennifer Tilly? It's like, oh, I get that all the time or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but you could have used somebody else. Like, I don't understand that.
Use Julia Roberts.
She would have done this movie, but you could have used like another horror actress. You could have used Barbara Crampton. You could have used like somebody else who has a history of horror, like who's been in horror movies. I feel like you could have found somebody, Nev Campbell, like I don't know, somebody who has like a history with these types of movies that I think still would have worked.
What was Courtney Cox doing in 2004?
Right, I feel like Courtney Cox would have done something like this, right? The Scream trilogy was kind of done. They wouldn't kind of do the fourth one for a while, so I feel like she would have done something like this. Just the storyline is bad. Stuff with the kid is bad. It's just there's no decent kills. Like some of the kills are just gross. Like I think the Redman kills.
The Redman one. I think that.
It's gross.
Over the top.
There
was one I thought was decent.
Is it the one where she falls over the railing after getting stabbed, like the girl or whatever?
No, I think it was the one, and then they take. Oh, it was the guy, and then they take the picture afterwards.
Oh, John Waters. That's John Waters.
The one where and then his like face starts.
You do know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. No, that's director John Waters, the guy who did like Pink Flamingos, like the cult director. I'm trying to think of movies you might know of because he's a complete cult director. John Waters, yeah, no, he's a famous director. It's John Waters. He did that's lesser known. Like,
yeah, I knew his face.
He did the original Hairspray.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, he did that. He did Crybaby.
Yeah. Serial Mom. Yeah.
Oh, he did both Hairspray. Well, no, he was a producer.
No, he was in Hairspray. Yeah, but he did the original one with Ricky Lake. And yeah, he did Serial Mom, Cecil B. DeMille, did A Dirty Shame. Like he's a very cult director. Like he's a very niche director. But yeah, he's kind of a sleazy guy, and yeah, him playing like the paparazzi guy. That's who he is. Yeah, that kill was okay, but
he showed up in Jackass #2.
Yeah, he's in the segment where Wee Man gets squashed by the big giant lady on the bed and makes it where he's got a magician outfit on and he goes, "I'm gonna make Wee Man disappear, abracadabra," and Wee Man's laying on the bed and the giant woman like lays on him and he just disappears. So yeah, he's in there. He's also in the bellhop scene where they fall down the stairs in the cart. He's got a bellhop uniform. Yeah, they're friends with him.
Yeah, he was one of those. I knew his face. I knew I've seen him before.
Yes,
the name always escapes me.
Right. Yeah, I've been to a little Q&A thing with him when they showed Serial Mom back in Jacksonville. Like he puts on good Q&As and stuff. Like he tells good stories and whatnot. But yeah, that's John Waters. So it's more of a like, hey, it's a cult thing, isn't it funny? I just said, do you know who John Waters is? Apparently not everybody. So yeah, but he's a quirky, weird dude. So that stuff's right up his alley. But yeah, that sequence was okay, where he's trying to like teach him how to kill, whatever. Like I didn't mind that. Like as far as that's the best stuff in the movie, I think, where they're trying to fight over like what kind of a killer he's going to be or like how he's going to grow up. Like Chucky wants him to be like a serial killer, like a manly serial killer. She wants him to like express himself and be whoever he wants to be, and all that, and embraces like femininity. Like that stuff is not bad, but when they flat out call out Glenn or Glenda, which is the Ed Wood movie, where he's like a cross-dresser, it's just like, that's a little on the nose, don't you think? Like, I don't know. It's like, I wish, you probably haven't seen, but we've both seen Ed Wood, like the movie Ed Wood, and like, that's a big part of the movie Ed Wood. But yeah, it's like, this movie just doesn't work for me, and it never has. I've tried 3 or 4 times to watch it, and it just doesn't work. I don't like it.
And I was just remembering the scene where the doll escapes and he's running to the truck, and that is just like the worst like effect. Like the running just looks so bad. Yeah, this movie didn't work for me. This was definitely my least favorite. Yeah, like if I ever rewatch the franchise, I'll probably just.
I usually do when I go back through the franchise. I usually skip this one, but like I said, about every couple of years, I'll try to watch it, like just to see if it does anything for me. But most of the time, I only get like halfway through and I turn it off, and I'm just like, no, it's not working, and I just skip and just move on. So
and I can't really think of anything that happens in the movie that's super important to the story.
Not really, because again, the one after this is kind of what I was talking about, the soft reboot of the series, kind of. Because we get to Curse of Chucky, which was this one, it wasn't theatrical. It kind of went straight to VOD and like DVD and whatnot. And I remember I bought the DVD just blind. But I heard Don Mancini was back, like the original guy. I think he directed both this and Cult. And they were kind of. It was going to be Brad Dourif like Chucky, but it was going to kind of reboot the timeline a little bit and like not do as much of the Glenn or Glenda stuff, like kind of get rid of that, and just kind of reset things to where it was kind of just Chucky. And we get a little bit of that, and I like the fact they bring back Alex Vincent. Like I think that's awesome. Like and I can't remember, is he in this one or Cult though? I can't remember.
He's in which
he's at the end. He's at the end of this one.
Which
Right,
I
right,
didn't know until I watched the beginning that there was a post-credit scene, so I had to go back
right,
and
right, right.
I'm like, oh, I guess I should have watched through the
Yeah, and
credits.
there's some weird like things where on VOD it doesn't have that post credit scene, but it did on my DVD. It was weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has the post credit where he shows up, and then yeah, he has the stuff at the beginning of Cult. That's right. I'm kind of blending the two a little bit, so I apologize.
I think they go together pretty well.
They flow together because it does follow a storyline with Fiona
Yeah.
Dourif, like with Brad Dourif's daughter.
Who
Like,
is
yeah,
great.
yeah, she's
I
really
think
good.
she's
No,
great.
and she's a good kind of addition to the series with her character. And yeah, I like this movie is mostly a pretty much a one location movie in this big giant like mansion, and
Mhm.
again it follows the same thing where he's kind of doing the same thing like he did with Andy with the little girl, kind of manipulating things on the side.
Yeah.
There's some mysterious deaths and things are happening. Fiona Dourif's kind of wising up to it, but nobody believes her and then she's got the aspect where she's in the wheelchair, which I think is like adds a lot of tension actually to the
Mhm.
movies. And like she's paralyzed and get like stabbed in the leg, but it doesn't
Just
hurt her,
doesn't.
Yeah, she
You're
just brings it up.
bleeding. Oh.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean the stuff with the elevator, her having to go up and down, in the elevator, not being able to use the stairs and whatnot. Like there's some good tension there. Yeah, I think you could tell like it's a lower budget, it's a very contained movie, but I think it was just about them getting back to like basics and getting back to the roots, of things and just
Yeah.
a much simpler story. But I like it. I like this movie.
Yeah, I think there were like you mentioned, like think there were a lot of similarities to the first one, and I think that's why I like this one so much because I really like that first movie.
Mhm.
And I was confused at first. I was wondering, is this just like a reboot of the franchise? Like they just want to do something different? Like why are they coming to this family? But then it all gets kind of tied in at the end,
Mhm.
where it ties back into that first movie, and I was like, oh, okay, because I honestly didn't see that coming. I mean, you kind of see it when they're watching the home movies.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I think that's okay. That's Charles Lee Ray, right?
Yeah, right.
And then
Yeah.
then they kind of reveal that at the end. But yeah, like I dig the one location. Yeah, and I like that we don't hear Chucky for the longest time, kind of like in that first movie.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of manipulating the
You get
little
more of
girl.
like the girl being like, Chucky told me this and Chucky
Yeah.
told me that, and he said this and he said that. Like, oh, how dare I don't you can't talk like that, whatever. Like, stop making things up. Yeah, it's very, very similar. Just with a girl, obviously, instead of a guy. But yeah, you get that build up before he actually like goes full on, and
Mhm.
starts kind of revealing himself.
One thing I was wondering after watching, what was up with the chili? Was there something wrong with the chili? Like, was was there no meat in there?
I don't know. I mean, you could have chili, I guess, without meat, but it would
But
not
like
be very tasty.
the way some of their but just the way some of their looks were after they like did Chucky do something to the chili? Um,
Maybe there was people parts in the chili,
maybe
like
that's
Texas.
what I'm
Like, is
wondering.
it like that's a big thing in Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the first and second one is the cook in that movie. He makes chili out of people, and then the whole thing is it's all about the meat, and the meat is people. So I don't know. Like, did he chop up a person in there, or yeah,
Because Alice mentions it tastes funny, and I'm like,
yeah, right.
did Chucky do something? Like, is that why the Reverend leaves so abruptly and has to leave?
Probably,
And
yeah. He's like, this doesn't taste right. I'm out of here. Yeah.
I was always like, it's the one part of the movie that I was like, that's weird. But like, I enjoyed everything else about this movie. This or Cult. Like, I really enjoyed these last two. I was
Yeah.
getting skeptical because those middle three. I was like, oh, Bride's fun, it's entertaining, but like.
Yeah.
3 was it was all right, good finale. Siege was just awful, but I like that it was more of like just a straight up horror movie. And there wasn't a lot of comedy here. I mean, Chucky's got his one liners like usual, but it was a very
It's not goofy
straight up.
though. There's no
Yeah,
like goofy stuff,
no.
like silly stuff. It's like he's making his quips. He's doing his big moments, but like there's not really any like goofy, like especially like it's a way 180 from Seed of Chucky for sure.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I like about these movies is that like Chucky basically he wins, like the villain.
Mhm.
Like he wins, like whereas in the other movies, like something happens to Chucky at the end of the movie, like
Mhm.
not in these ones. And I like that change because it could have been like, all right, well now what's gonna happen to Chucky? I'm waiting for it, but no, like Chucky basically gets away with it. And yeah, and then this is the one where at the end of the movie we see him. He gets delivered
to Alex Vincent.
To Alex Vincent, which because like I was like, oh, is that at the beginning of Cult? I was like, oh, is that Andy? That's Andy. What's he doing here? And then I look it up and I was like, oh, at the end of Curse, I was like, oh, I guess
you missed it, right? And no, you can go on YouTube and watch it though. Like it's so there.
That's what I did. I just went back and before.
But it's a cool little scene because you see like the pictures around the room of like Catherine Hicks, like the mom, and you even see like the military academy. They even know it's like Child's Play 3, but like you see some of that stuff, so you start to like figure it out. But yeah, what's the best is the reveal when he pops out of the box, but Andy immediately has a shotgun, and it's like, nope, no sir, like he's not playing around, which I like. He's not fooling around, like he's not here to talk. He's like, nope, ain't happening. And blast him,
I guess he's sent by Tiffany, who's now in a human again,
right?
And I guess Chucky, got his soul into Alice. He finally won hide the soul or something because.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that plays into Cult, and that's how we can kind of move on. Is apparently they figured out how to like body jump, and that's like with the voodoo because there's a lot of like jumping into multiple bodies because we get like multiple Chuckies in this movie, at one point, where it's like he's possessing both dolls and other people, or like throwing his essence or something, at other people. It's kind of vague, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But I want to say the idea is that Tiffany is back, but actually in Jennifer Tilly's body, but it's Tiffany, I think.
Yeah, I want to say that. Yeah, that's
because the doll is gone, but like Jennifer Tilly's there, but it's Jennifer Tilly, but she's dead, but like she's back. I think it's because Tiffany took possession of Jennifer Tilly. I think again, it gets a little muddy, like exactly what happened, but I think that's the idea. I think.
Yeah, because she's not Jennifer Tilly. Because I mean, we see in the scene or later on in the movie that she's Alice's guardian. We learn that Alice is no longer alive. Kind of went she went just like Padme did, broken heart.
God.
I don't think that's what happened.
For some reason, we're losing her. Her vital signs are fine, but we're losing her. Like, oh my God! Don't remind me of a terrible Star Wars moment. But anyways,
But no. Again, this is another one where it's a one location almost. Like we get the transfer to the hospital that she's in throughout most of the movie, and then it's just kind of there. We get these other characters introduced. What was it? Multiple Malcolm or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
The other two, I can't remember. I'm very bad with names. I'm
bad with character names too, unless it's like movies I've seen a million times. Like I'm pretty bad with character names.
Like I'll remember Nika because she was in both movies, but
everybody else, it's like that guy, the dude who did the thing. It's like the guy that has sex with her in the wheelchair, and like the other dude and the orderly guy. Like I'm like it's basically like that for me, unless it's a really established movie I've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah, but and I was a little confused at first because I was like, is that just a Chucky doll? Because we saw the head over at Alex's house and he's torturing it. And
hey, to be fair, he gave him a hit off the joint at least.
He did. He tried, and then Chucky tried to bite him. It's like, come on, that's not the way to get a hit.
Right.
But, expect nothing less from Chucky. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah. Ungrateful is what he is. Ungrateful.
But again, Fiona Dourif, I think in this one is I think better than in the first one because I liked her performance more. Especially towards the end when she when she gets her Chucky, gets inside her her body.
It's
the soul.
it's Fiona Dourif playing Brad Dourif playing Charles Lee Ray, which is
Right.
kind of cool. Yeah, it's like a multi-layered thing, which is fun. Like I like that stuff in the second half where she gets possessed by him and like it's her running around as crazy person, like killer, and that's fun. It's good times.
Yeah, and I like the multiple Chuckies. I like how Brad Dourif, like for each Chucky, had a different voice. Like I think I was watching the kill count, and it was like what he called it, like buzz cut Chucky.
Yeah, or one's like, and they'll have kind of different cadences. Like one's kind of dumb, and then one's like, one's a little slow. Yeah, then there's ones that are a little more vicious. Like, yeah, he put it on a different cadence for each one so we can kind of distinguish them, there's the one dunce who he has to tell like a million times like what to do like with everything, like no, go stand over there, like do that, like he's stupid, so like it doesn't always work flawlessly every time. Every time he does it, it's like it's a gamble. But yeah, you get Andy comes to try to kind of save the day, like at the mental hospital, but we never really find out his fate because he gets like locked in that room, right? And he doesn't get out.
I'm wondering if it's if it's acknowledged in the TV show at all.
I know he's in the TV show, so I think he's in the TV show. Fiona Dourif is in the TV show, so I think it does continue somewhat of a continuity. Jennifer Tilly's in the TV show. Like they've had pretty much everybody in the TV show from like I've seen bits and pieces. I'll see scenes on like the Facebook reels or whatnot that'll like pop up. And Alex Vincent had like a partner and like a gun and like a badge. I don't know if he became like a FBI agent or something. Like I don't know. Like it's interesting.
I'm very curious to watch the
so I don't know exactly where it jumps from here. I think they're still doing the body jumping thing, and I think they're playing with the fact that she's still playing Chucky, but like in her body, I think. So they're playing with that, and I think that's what you see in the, that stuff you played at the beginning of that montage, like how they can kind of throw their personality into like multiple Chucky, characters. I think that's what they're kind of playing with, where they can't quite, put them down or whatever because of that. That's the idea, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think there's I think 2 seasons of the show so far. So
right.
Thankfully, I'm not jumping in like too late. I can get through it pretty quickly.
You want to get caught up, yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the Curse and Cult. I thought this was a great way to sort of end this portion like of the movies, because again, Chucky wins. Like we see at the end, Tiffany and Chucky,
they roll out.
Chucky, Nika, they roll out. I think there was some really good kills here. I thought the glass one again, I thought that was really good. And it would have been very easy for them to just like, all right, Chucky's at the hospital now, and instead we got like multiple Chuckies, which I thought was something different. I thought that was good. But yeah, I think we start well, we end well, and we can forget about Seed.
Yeah, and 45 minutes of Child's Play 3.
And the first half.
Yeah, right. yeah. Good finale, good third act, but yeah, the first 2 acts are a little rocky. I mean, overall, I still think it's a overall pretty solid franchise, all things considered, of how bad a franchise can get. Like you look at something like Hellraiser is really rough, like really rough. You get like the first 2 are great, and then there's a lot of garbage in the middle until like the remake that they just did, like a ton. So I mean, it could be way worse than this. Like this is one of the better ones, all things considered, as far as most of the movies being at least decent to good, and a couple of them being 1 or 2 being pretty great. If you can get that out of a horror franchise, you're doing all right. Like I like most of the Halloween movies. There are low points too. I don't know if there's a perfect horror franchise. I think the most perfect horror franchise, as far as all the ones being good, is Evil Dead. I think. Yeah. That's kind of the consensus, because Final Destination is almost there if it wasn't for the 4th one, which sucks because it's like almost there. Saw has its lows. I don't like Jigsaw. I don't like Spiral. But like Evil Dead, all the entries are good, and they've had. I mean, granted, they've only had 5. They don't have 10 like some of these other ones.
But every one of them is good. 5.
Yeah, you're 5 for 5 there. So that's pretty good. I still think this franchise is mostly like, like 5 for 7 or 5.5 for 7, which is pretty good.
I'd say 5.5 for 7. Yeah, you take
Which
out
is
the
pretty
and
damn
half
solid
out
for
3.
a horror franchise. That's pretty solid because like Texas Chainsaw has its really good highs and very low lows.
Mhm.
The Fly obviously has its up and downs. Nightmare has its ups and downs. Like it's really tough to get a horror franchise where you have more good than bad. But I would definitely
Yeah.
say this is still one of those ones, while not as high profile as some of the other ones, and as well seen. I still think it's a pretty solid one, like all things considered.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's got more good than bad. I agree with. I think Evil Dead, and I'd say Scream. I'd say what you want about. I know some people will say 3 is a low point. I think some people say 4
No,
is a
I
low
like
point.
3. 4 is the low point for me, but just because that movie just has a weird vibe, I can't put my finger on it. It's something about that movie just doesn't work for me. But I don't know. But that's a mostly good franchise too. Yeah, some people would say that's a pretty perfect. Love all the entries of that series, which is fine.
Yeah.
You can make that argument. But yeah, it's like there are these tiers, Jacob, of not just horror franchises but killers, and it's like if we're doing tier rankers, right? S tier is Freddy, Michael, Jason. Like they're the S tier. They always will be kind of the trinity of like horror villains. That's the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Trinity kind of thing.
I agree with that.
You go down to the A tier, you get like your Ghostface, your Norman Bates, your Hannibal Lecter. You get Leatherface. Like those are like your A tier. Then you get into the B tier, but like the strong B tier. That's where you get Chucky. That's where you get Candyman. That's where you get Pinhead. Like you get a couple of these like. They have their high highs, but they have their low lows, and like they, but they're not as iconic. And then you get everything else. You get your leprechauns. You get your, your whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm pulling straws, but you know what I mean. Like,
where would you put? This is kind of a tangent now, but where would you put Pennywise on that list?
Pennywise, I put him in the B tier because I don't think he's as like iconic. Like, I think he's a cool character, but I can't. Because he's like a shapeshifter too, like it's like I don't know, like he's got a great look, but you really only have 2 theatrical movies and a TV series, a TV miniseries. So I don't think he's as high up. I know people really want to start putting Art the Clown up there from like Terrifier, but I think let's
wait till this third movie.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. I'm like, wait for the third movie, wait for the trilogy. Like once the trilogy is over, then you could start putting him in a tier with all these other ones and see how iconic he truly is. I think the character is pretty fun to watch. Like I think the character is interesting. The way how much personality he has without talking, like it's interesting.
Yeah,
and I think the performance is good from David Hart Thornton. Like I think he's really good. But I think people are too quick to be like, oh, he has a cool look and he's funny in some scenes. Like let's relax. Like let's get the third movie. Let's get like a trilogy under our belt and let's see where it goes from there and like see how it keeps developing. So I'm not there yet with him. He's certainly one of the up and coming, new icons of horror, you could say. One of the new interesting ones. But yeah, I think Chucky is still he's very recognizable. It is an IP that most people know, but I think a lot of people have like missed entries or not everybody's seen Cult of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, see
which I would recommend. I thought they were
no for sure. I just mean like I think most people who have seen any of these movies, they've watched like the original and like maybe Bride, like most people, most casual horror fans, maybe not everybody has dived into all the sequels and whatnot, as they have with like most people have seen most, if you're a casual horror fan, you've seen most of the Nightmares, most of the Halloweens, most of the, things like that. So,
as a casual horror fan, can concur.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but like you said, this was your first time diving into most of these entries. And I think, it's not like you're not aware of who Chucky is and what he does, as a casual horror fan, just through pop culture, what it is. It's a very recognizable IP. I just don't think it's as iconic time-wise as those other ones. But he will always still be one of the upper tier ones, that hangs on, and we see again he's living on through TV still, and apparently they're doing a good job there. So, he's lived on and done his thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 35 years and he's still going
Given
strong.
the fact
so
that how old is Brad Dourif now? He's got to be near 70 or something,
he's got
right?
to be up there. Yeah.
I was gonna because he's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, for God's sakes. He got nominated for that movie in like
Right.
1975. You know what I mean? So he's born in 1950. He's 73 years old. You know?
73.
Yeah, he's 73
Yeah.
and still doing his thing. So he's still cranking it out and doing it. I think he had a time where I know he said in interviews he was kind of getting ready to move on, but at the same time it's like it's what you're known for, brother. Like I know you got nominated for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You've been in other stuff, but bro, you're Chucky. He kind of always will be Chucky. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. You got that voice, and but the people love him for it. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, and apparently he voiced Chucky in Dead by Daylight, the video
That's
game.
coming out. That's coming out soon. That Dead by Daylight franchise. They've been working in all the horror characters, and he's just recorded. I think they just put out a trailer like a few days ago. I saw on YouTube of like his stuff, and it's Brad Dourif doing the stuff. So which makes sense. Yeah, why shouldn't it be? Why shouldn't it be? Of course it should be. I mean, if the Mortal Kombat can get Peter Weller to do RoboCop and Sylvester Stallone to do Rambo, and all that. Like, you gotta shell out the money and get the OG people.
Yeah, why not?
Uh-huh.
So, no, I'm glad I stuck with it because there was a part of me that wanted to be like, all right, well, do we? How committed are we to talking about this franchise? Because I'm not enjoying it, but Curse and Cult kind of
brought it back a little bit
at the end. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad because that one, those are lesser seen, and I didn't know if like the lower budget and kind of direct to video stuff, but like I think it works. Solid. No, I think it works for like the look of the movie, and it sets them apart. That they have their own kind of little storyline going on, and they run well back to back, especially if you do watch them back to back because it flows as a story just from one to the other, so that works. It works as that. Yeah, if you got a bad taste in your mouth from Seed, you watch those two and you forget about it pretty quickly. You're like, I'm moving on.
Yeah. So a good franchise.
I was worried when with your illusions that you were going to say it was like you didn't like most of them or something. I was worried because the way you were talking about
those middle three, like I think looking back, like I haven't seen the whole franchise. Like I think Bride, I think I have that like in the middle.
Okay.
I do, like I said, I think it's the most entertaining, but like I think as far as like a horror franchise, like if I'm watching a horror franchise, I'm in it for the horror, and I think Bride is the funniest and most entertaining. But like I think I just get more horror out of like Child's Play and then Curse and Cult.
Right. Yeah.
So like I kind of like have it right in the middle, but so those middle three, I'm like, but yeah. Start strong, end strong, and then there's moments in those middle movies that work. Sure. But I think overall I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 7 for the franchise as a whole. I think it's good. With some pretty strong entries.
Yeah. That's good. Well, at least most of them are good. That's always good. Like any franchise, you're gonna hit those rough notes, and you're gonna have to just get through them and hope there's something better near the end. I can't say the same for something like Fast and Furious, which I think is on a habitual low note right now.
We'll see. I liked Fast X, but I mean, depending on where they go with the
when they close it out, we'll see.
Yeah.
So, have you given any thoughts, sir? I know we're like a year away of which one you would want to tackle potentially next year. Not to like put you on the spot, but is there another one that you've missed either most entries or only seen a little bit or dabbled in it, but have never gone full on? I
don't know because I've seen most of the major ones now. So, because like I've seen Evil Dead, I've seen Halloween, Nightmare, Saw. I've seen the big ones. I think the one that I have like the most blind spots in, I think, would be Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Because I've seen I think like the first 3. I've seen Jason X. I've seen Freddy versus Jason, but I think there's some entries in there that I've missed.
Yeah.
So that might be an option.
How many of the Hannibal movies have you seen?
That's
You're gonna look at your Hannibal set and see.
Yeah, I've seen the middle one.
Oh, Silence of the Lambs and none of the other ones? Okay. Because technically there's more than that. Yeah, you have Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, Red Dragon, and Hannibal Rising.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have those. I don't have those last two. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
the three I have in this set.
Sure,
But
maybe that's a potential because that
Yeah.
series is all over the place as far as
Mhm.
you get Manhunter, which is the original like Michael Mann movie with Brian Cox as Hannibal, and then you get to Silence of the Lambs, which is obviously pretty iconic. That even like if you haven't dived into the franchise, most people have seen that movie.
Right.
And then I think Hannibal's really underrated. I love Red Dragon. I think Red Dragon is pretty great, and then Hannibal Rising is not good, but it's interesting because it's got like young baby Hannibal, And then I've seen some of the TV show that they did with Mads Mikkelsen and like Lawrence Fishburne. And, like that show was pretty cool for what it was. But that's a possibility. That's only 5 movies. That's not bad, and it's kind of all over the place, things like that. Like you said, there's Final. Oh, we already talked Final Destination, so we did that. Evil Dead is always one we could revisit, and you can see them all in order. Whatever. There's possibilities. There's always plenty of Frank Candyman. There's all kinds of stuff.
Right. Oh, the Candyman might be a good one because I haven't seen.
You want to see the original one?
I haven't even seen the original.
Wow, that could be one.
Yeah.
Because don't you own some of the one of the 2 of the sequels on Blu-ray? You just haven't cracked
Yeah,
them yet?
I own the original, one of the sequels, and then the reboot. Requel.
It technically is a requel. Like it does connect to the original one, but yeah, it's like one of those ones like the David Gordon Green Halloween that kind of ignores the ones in the middle. But that's a possibility because I've seen the second one, but not in a long time, and then I haven't seen the third one. But I really like the first one and the reboot, so that could be an interesting one to see, like the continuity and kind of what they do within that. That could have some ups and downs, but some really high highs, like for sure. So that's a possibility as well.
Let's see. We got a.
We got other stuff to do. We'll talk about it later. Which we should tell maybe what we're doing for the rest of the year, kind of to close things out here.
So in a couple weeks, because of the holdovers and he's just an actor that we like, and we figure why not? Let's dedicate an episode to him. I think he deserves it. So in a couple weeks, we'll be talking some Paul Giamatti. Hope we may be able to talk about the holdovers if I can find a way to see it because it's
I have seen it. I got to see an early show. I really liked it. It was great. Yeah, if you can have a chance to see it, or if it happens to pop up on VOD maybe before then or something.
Right.
But if not, I'll kind of just talk vaguely about it and kind of give a quick review. But we're gonna talk as we do 4 movies, but I think 4 movies that kind of define him as an actor because we're gonna do Private Parts, which is a fun early kind of side role where he kind of steals the show, the Howard Stern biopic, which is really funny. He's very funny in it. A stronger supporting role with Man on the Moon, and playing Bob Zamuda. I think that one's a really, really great one.
Yeah.
And a movie I just like anyways. Lead role with American Splendor. That's kind of a cult favorite, where he gets the lead role there. And then we'll top it off with his Oscar nominated role in Cinderella Man, which I think would be a great way to kind of pop that one off and get his first Oscar nomination. And probably won't be his last because they'll probably get nominated for the holdovers.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's a really good performance. So
I don't know if he'll win. It might be Cillian Murphy's year for Oppenheimer, so I don't know if he has a total chance. Unfortunately, he's got some competition, but I definitely see him getting another nomination for that for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm hoping even without seeing the movie because I like.
He's very, very good in it. Very, very good in it. So yeah, he's excellent in the movie. He's very, very good.
Yeah, so that's our next show and probably our last show for the year. I have decided for the month of December to just kind of take some time off, just kind of, spend some time with some friends, some family during the holiday season. But who knows? Maybe we'll pop up with a show. Maybe we'll like pop up with like a wheel or something. Do one
something,
of those.
Yeah. But we can always come back in January with our wrap up show, right?
Right.
Wrapping up 2023.
We'll wrap up 2023. Yeah. So
we'll talk about we'll talk about some of our favorites of the year. Like not necessarily like we do, ranking them, but just talking about some of our favorite movies of the year,
Yeah.
roundtable style, just kind of back and forth, like we do.
Kind of the same way we did earlier, like at the halfway point.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about our discoveries, some older movies we watched that we really liked, any Blu-rays we picked up, whatever, that sort of thing. Yeah, we'll definitely do that in January, though, to wrap up 2023, for sure. We always do that. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of my plan. And then just kind of taking the month off and doing shows. Probably still pop up on tournament fights and
here and there
from time to time, but
just not like hosting anything or
not hosting anything. Just I'll take a back.
He's gonna take a back seat. He's gonna watch Lonely Marks. I'll run Lonely Marks for a little while, and well, that's fine. Keep watching stuff, but you'll be around, just not at the head of anything for a little bit. No, I get it. It's holiday season. Got to spend some time with family, travel around, do some things. It's very busy where I'm working in retail, so it's very busy as well. But yeah, I'll still be around doing my thing. But yeah, we'll talk some Giamatti, and then we'll come back and wrap up the year about a month later. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll give you some time while you're taking some time off to maybe catch up on some movies you missed throughout the year.
Which I've started recently. I watched. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I watched The Killer today.
Oh no, it popped up. I was going to actually either watch it after this or watch it tomorrow on my day off. So I'm going to check it out.
Highly recommend. I think Michael Fassbender. I think again, like Paul Giamatti, I think he could get nominated. I don't think he'll win, but I think his performance is good enough to maybe be nominated or at least be in consideration. I think he's really good.
I hear it's a nice kind of throwback to like 90s Fincher, which I'm looking forward to. Like Fight Club-ish Fincher, sort of dark comedy, kind of, not comedic, but like some lighter tone stuff, but like darker, lighter tone, if that makes any sense. Like it's like dark comedy. Like I'm looking forward to it. I'll watch it either tonight or tomorrow, for sure, because I want to see that, see if it makes my list or not. I've been pretty up on top of most of the movies. I'm catching up on streaming movies mostly is what I'm catching up on now, because I've seen like 75 movies in the theater this year. I went hard on the theater this year on my Regal Unlimited, so I've seen almost everything that came out in theaters I saw. So now it's just catching up with couple of Hulu movies, couple of Netflix movies, things like that, to wrap it up, and then whatever else comes out of the year. Godzilla -1, which I'm very excited for. Which has a good chance of making my best of the year list from what I'm hearing. So it'll be good.
Yeah. So between now and then, what do you got coming up in the?
I've got a lot of shows. This is like show number 3 of 10. Going on this next week, because I think I have something. If you see my my Google Calendar where I put shows, if you see like the whole line in the middle there, nothing like today is the 11th right there, and then you see the next week. There's something every night. So I'll be producing and co-hosting Seen and Heard tomorrow night on the Movie Hero Network, pending Jordan's got an ear infection right now, so pending whether or not we actually go. So we'll see. So that one might be on the hiatus, but. A bunch of tournament fights next week for 2006. We'll run some Lonely Marks on Thursday. You'll be on Lonely Marks at least for the rest of this month, so we'll do that on Thursday. And then my next drinking game with Wolfman over on Mega Movie Z will be next Saturday. So that's what I'll be doing next Saturday. It's Thanksgiving season again. We did Thanksgiving last year, so now we have to do Thanksgiving 3. There's no 2. It just jumps right to 3. So apparently it has a little bit of space or something. I don't know. Thanksgiving almost killed us last year, so this one might kill us again with the same parameters. So we'll see. It's going to be rough. But that's kind of what I got coming up.
Nice. And like you said, Lonely Marks, I'll show up on that. I'll be on at least on the Monday episode of Tournament Fights, doing the first part of 2006. I don't know if I'm not on Wednesday. And I don't know if I'm on Friday.
Maybe. We'll see.
If I am, you'll see me Friday. But that's all I've got coming up. Nothing much. It's a much lighter week for me than it is for you. But
you know me, man. I'm in demand. People need to see me too much, I guess. I'm sure some people are sick of seeing me, but I try to keep it entertaining. Try to keep it lively. And I'm a million other trivia things and Battleground and all kinds of stuff I got going on. Right. I'm always doing something.
Yeah, I may or may not have a battleground match to record before the end of the year. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Um,
I got a few in the can. They just haven't been uploaded yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
So, I did judge a match recently, but
Mhm.
that's all my battleground stuff. Though the opponent I was supposed to have dropped out, and so my match kind of is up in the air right now.
All right. Let's have a rematch of our first match, Jacob. Let's do it all over again.
Hey,
same,
I mean, I'm
same questions, same answers. All right, let's just do it all over again.
Captain America.
Yeah, right.
Captain America. I don't know if I could argue against Beauty and the Beast again.
Yeah, I know that hurt your soul. Yeah.
But
No, I don't want to do
no,
that.
it's not a good. Shoot, it is a good movie though.
No, it'd be even worse if we switched answers and you had to argue against Lion King. That'd be even worse.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you had gotten first on answering the question and you said Lion King, oh man.
Yeah, I think at that point you knew we didn't know each other that well, but I think you knew mine was Beauty and the Beast, and I think I knew yours was Lion King, so it was fine.
Yeah, when he asked that question, I was like, oh no,
oh no. Even I was like, oh no, I gotta watch Lion King and try to find a flaw. Oh no.
Right. It's like you come up with fart jokes, I come up with pervy candlesticks.
Yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got. We're stretching at that point. Yeah. Oh, how far we've come. That was like 2 years ago. Can you believe that? That was nuts. A long time. Yeah. And then and then a few months later, you're like, hey, you want to do a show together? I was like, okay.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? I'll do another show to add to the other 8 shows I do. That's fine. But it's all good.
Yeah.
But it's always a pleasure to do the show with you, sir. I very much enjoy it. It gives me some things to watch sometimes. And most Giamatti, I've seen all of these, but I'll be rewatching a few of those. Like for sure, it's been a minute for Cinderella.
A couple of those will be first times for me.
Yeah, I've seen American Splendor once, so I need to revisit that again. I think it's on Max right now, so I'll check it out. I have Cinderella Man on Blu-ray. It's been a minute since I popped it out. But I love both Private Parts and Man on the Moon, so I think I'm pretty good on those. But
Man on the Moon is great.
Yeah, but there's some good stuff there. So this should be a fun show. It'll be a good time. And I'll talk a little bit about the holdovers when we get there. I might even go see it again. I really, really liked it. So it's a good chance between now and the next 2 weeks that if I get bored and just hop to the theater and go watch it again, I might do that. I hope you get a chance to see it because I think you would.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Hope so.
I'll find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks with that. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the share the videos out if you want to, hit the bell so you can be notified when we go live, and stay tuned next week for all the stuff coming out on the channel. I'm pretty sure there's something like every day,
almost every day. Yeah, because I know Jordan's starting Recast this week, kind of a new show he wants to play around with. They're gonna do some recasting of Back to the Future and see some answers there. So there's something.
I think it'll be interesting.
There's something almost every day on the Movie Hero Network, so there's always plenty of stuff going on. Yeah.
So tune into all that. Tune into all the other channels that we appear on. Rank them over on Take 3, Full Metal. I know you just had a match drop over there. The Pierce Co. Jordan Owens. Fellow Lonely Mark. So check us out over there as well. Subscribe to their channels as well. For Pez, I am Jacob. This has been a podcast about movies, and we will see you next time.